Hey, here we are. It's week 8, ModPo 2025. Wow. Language poets. Cool. So much going on. 267-838-9492. Call that number. Is that on the screen, Chris? Zach? Yes. It's on the screen. You don't need me to tell you like some kind of stupid AM DJ. Call 267-838-9492. Get a discount. What's going on here with the audio? That's okay. Okay. Yeah. We are here. Please call. This is a great week for calling. We have a very special guest who came all the way from San Francisco, I think. Yeah, from San Francisco. Our friend Robin, who is this your first year? Can you pick up the mic? Is this your first year of ModPo?
It is.
Robin, you're like killing it. You're doing what? No, you don't think so?
It's a lot to keep track of, but yeah, I'm trying to add
doing
something here and there.
Great job.
Thanks.
So you've been all over the forums, which is great. Have you done some office hours too?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Whose office hours? Everyone's.
Everyone's.
Robin, I think Robin is
Sophia's
getting the
morning.
Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
Even though it's only week 8.
That's right.
Would you accept that?
I'm
Rookie
currently unemployed, so I have time. That's my
happening?
my excuse.
It's one of the good things about being unemployed. Maybe the best thing.
Truly.
I think there's something better than being unemployed.
No.
Being a teacher.
Well, having money.
Having money
pay your
isn't
rent
generic.
and,
Okay. Anyway, Robin,
buy food.
So maybe you're this active because you don't have work, but maybe you're this active because you're just truly, in the Rookie of the Year sense, just a great person who's interested in this poetry.
It's amazing. I'm so happy to have
I'm glad you've got the mic, and I hope you'll hold on to it and participate in this conversation. As a matter of fact, you're such a Rookie of the Year. Can you bring that mic up to the table where the flowers are with a chair? Can we get a chair for Robin?
Yeah. Oh God, really?
Yeah, I think you can do it. What do you think? Does anybody think Robin is capable of just joining the table as a rookie?
Of course.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. Let's get a little help here. Chris Martin, come on. Magda's got it. Okay. Anyway, yes. I'm so glad you're here, Robin. And Claire Stanchek is here. Claire does not have the portable mic at the moment, so we can get a camera on Claire, and Claire can just wave for the moment. But Claire is a writer, teacher, educator, and who participated today in a fabulous poem talk, and we're glad you're here. Hi, Claire. We also have Dave Poplar here. Hello, Dave.
Hey, Al. Hey, everyone.
Good to see you. And I keep hearing good things about your office hours, so thank you for that. Erica Kaufman is here. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Al.
It's good to see you, as always. And Kate is here with a mug of... Oh, I have a mug just like that. What's the weather like? It's a little chilly in Providence.
It's beautiful today. It is warmish and fall-like.
Yeah, that's really great. Sophia DeRose is here, and Sophia has little pink slips for collecting our favorite poems.
Well, I feel really weird because I forgot my laptop today, and I always have my laptop for these so I can look at the YouTube chat, and I feel odd not being able to do that. So I'm sorry, y'all.
Okay. Lainey Brown, you have a machine, and you are looking at the chat?
I will.
I actually don't see the chat on your machine. So.
I know. I might need to click.
Okay. Well, chat people, please chat. Okay. And Dave Poplar, will you go to the forum thread? And I know there's at least one question there. And Sarah Riggs is here. Have you ever had a little drum roll? It's like a summer camp drum roll.
That's my first drum roll.
Sarah, amazing translator, producer, director of films, poet. And in fact, Zach, poet of this book, brought out this book of poems. Do we have that on camera? Not yet. It's called Lines. It's by Sarah Riggs. And as a matter of fact, we have an extra copy, and the first caller is going to get a copy of Sarah Riggs' book. And Sarah, would you mind at some point during the webcast maybe picking out a poem and reading it for us?
Sure.
Great. And thank you so much for being here. Okay, we are ready then. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did. We're ready. Let's go around and get favorite poems, or the poem that's on your mind, the week 8 poem that's on your mind from the main syllabus or ModPo Plus, and we will then go from there. So Dave is first and Erica's on deck.
I really like the Harriet Mullen poems, Sleeping with the Dictionary and Any Lit. I'll pick Sleeping with the Dictionary if I have to choose one, but I think they're both really fun and great.
Terrific. Thank you, Dave. Erica and then Kate.
I want to pick Larry Agner, specifically the one that begins corner stop sign.
Oh, I love that poem. There are 4 volumes of Agner's collected poems. They're typed out, they're printed in non-proportional courier font, like a typewriter font, because Larry typed with one finger on one hand. And it's great. Those volumes are amazing. And there must be a couple of thousand poems in there. And ModPo Plus has, I don't know, 6 or 7. So thank you for that. Kate, followed by Sophia.
Sorry. A poem on my mind at the moment is Ron Silliman's Bart, which I've was looking at and noticing, even though its mode is radical inclusivity, which I think is your term, there's so much it doesn't include, both social information, and it also just makes me think of in the moment, in this journey on Bart, of all the things that he could have included and didn't or wasn't able to.
Yeah, probably didn't and wasn't able to, but probably both of those things. Yes, is it Labor Day, Memorial Day? I think it's Labor Day, 1976, bicentennial year. And Bart, it was free that day, so he decided to get one ticket and ride Bart all day, and with a notebook and write as much of what he could see as possible. Bart. Great suggestion, Sophia, followed by Lainey.
I think I have to go with Lynn Haginian's My Life.
My Life. Fantastic. Why?
I think recently I've been thinking a lot about what constitutes a life. It's a great poem to aid in that thinking.
That's a kind of narrow topic. And you've been writing kind of my life-ish writing.
I've just been talking about myself.
Oh, come on. Okay, good. Lainey, followed by Sarah.
I'm going to go with May Bursenberg's Concordance.
Do you have that text near you?
I do.
Could you read the first couple of lines?
I can. Writing encounters one who does not write, and I don't try for him, but face to face draw you onto a line or flight like a break that may be extended the way milkweed filling space above the field is like reading.
Wow. By the way, you read like Maymay.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Don't you think? Do you mind reading that again? That is an
Sure.
amazing piece.
How does she do that?
Guys, come in. We have visitors here, but come in and get a good seat. Okay, Concordance
so
by Maymay
once
Bursenberger.
again, writing encounters one who does not write, and I don't try for him, but face to face draw you onto a line or flight like a break that may be extended the way milkweed filling space above the field is like reading.
Wow. Can you say a word or two about it? I mean, I know maybe it'll get picked from the mug.
Well,
but
I mean,
still.
there's something about her hypnotic voice, which I hear in my head as I'm reading, and the length of her line, like the breath in it, and the way there's landscape the environment, physical, natural environment.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's linked back to reading that I just find so comforting. And also, there's so much to explore inside any one sentence that May writes. I could just live there for a while.
Yeah, well said. Thank you so much. I mean, just to get the concordant resonance, let's hear like 15 seconds of May. Okay, Magda, you ready?
So I'll finish with a poem called Concordance that is in 3 parts. Writing encounters one who does not write, and I don't try for him, but face to face draw you onto a line or flight like a break that may be extended, the way milkweed filling space above the field is like reading.
That's amazing. Thank you, Lainey. Okay, cool. Sarah, followed by Robin.
Yeah. I am fascinated by every Ray Armantrout poem I read. This one is The Overhearing.
About the Tennessee Waltz.
The way the Tennessee Waltz is about being heard. The Tennessee Waltz before an almost floral nostalgia, totally self-contained, is what we call beautiful. And she's so colloquial in such a short line, but it's really dense and poetic too. And I don't know, it's just fascinating.
That's really great. I hope that gets picked. Okay, Robin, Rookie of the Year. What does Robin get for Rookie of the Year? We got to think of something. I want to get you a really nice gift for being such a ModPo person. Got a favorite poem of the week?
I'm picking Any Lit by Harriet Mullen.
Okay. So that's 2 votes for Mullen. Okay, can you pass the mic to Claire, who is, scrambling to catch up with us, but there you are. What do you think? Do you have a favorite poem from the language poets?
Yes, I'm looking at the syllabus with envy and delight, wishing that I had been spending the last week rereading all of these poems. Can I also select My Life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thus doubling the chances.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing to do. Okay. I think I don't usually vote, do I? But is anybody mad if I vote? I think Susan Howe's My Emily Dickinson I would vote for. There's a couple of passages. Okay. So what we're going to do, nobody has called yet, so you got to call.
Wait, are we going to invite our other guests to pick a favorite poem?
Are you guys ready to pick a favorite poem from week 8 of ModPo?
Just a language poet poem.
First of all, would you introduce the 4 of you as a group? Do you mind?
No, absolutely. So my name's Andrew Macmillan. I'm Professor of Contemporary Writing at Manchester Met University. And I'm here with my colleagues. I'm here with Chris Fox, with Nikolai Duffy, who's a brilliant poet and novelist, and with Michael Pinchbeck, who's a professor of performance and theatre maker. And we're just here kind of learning about all the brilliant stuff that brilliant institutions like Kelly's Writers House do.
And Andrew, can you speak for the group and say what you've learned so far?
I'll try my best. So just about your enthusiasm, the kind of generosity. We sat in on the Poem Talk podcast earlier, and just that it felt like we left thinking this is a place where poetry is taken seriously, where poetry is given space to breathe, and where ideas are kind of left to settle. And it just felt like a really special place that we knew it would be when we came to visit.
Thank you. That's lovely. Okay. Does one of you want to add a... Nikolai, you want to add a poem?
Nikolai, this is your area.
This is
of
your
specialism,
thing,
right?
Nikolai.
I'm not sure what you've been looking at this week, but I would also echo My Emily Dickinson, because that book totally changed the way that I realised, you were allowed to write. Well, it changed my sense of how I could write. And I recommend it to students every year, and I read it again and again, and I love it.
Okay, that is just
amazing. And
perfect.
I need to ask a question with our special guests here from the UK, because it came up in my office hours. There's a poet, Liam, shout out to Liam if you're watching, who asked, who are the poets in the UK connected to language poetry? And of course I thought about Tom Rayworth, but there's more. So I'm just curious what you all would say.
Wow,
And
you're
also,
putting them on the spot.
And also Al and everyone in the room, or TAs.
I've been asked this question by Liam, actually.
Okay, so it's a good question, though,
yes.
right? Besides Tom.
No, it's of course, Lainey. Any question you ask is a good question, but you know he's going to have to. He's consulting right now.
Okay.
Andrew.
So, like Tom Rayworth, and there's a great Penguin anthology that came out in Britain that called Children of Albion,
Yes.
which Tom was in, and which a lot of those kind of poets of that generation were, and it was kind of underground British poetry of that era. But kind of that's where a lot of our conversation with the language poets, it felt like what was happening. That's a really transformative anthology, and Tom's a part of that book.
Yeah. Tom Rayworth is a terrific choice for the answer to that question, and I'm going to play a 34-second.
And be split, and the animal lost ahead
Maymay
of time.
has taken over. Maymay, where are you? What is going on? Oh my goodness. Here's Tom Rayworth, not Maymay Bersenbrugge. It's called Intellectual Compost.
Intellectual Compost 6. Clusters from a level best, company remain under accuracy for minutes of last revenue, detach and screw you, good people, in box pieces, absorb basic lies, gingerly rattle tall cottons hung still on the front page. Snickering worked, great pictures sapped traction for spectators, face up, arms pointed out, broke apart stunted emotions. Nothing could deprive conversion of fire share to appreciate despair. Nothing reflective but movie love, touched costume almost evaporated.
I mean, Tom Rayworth. Tom came here and gave a reading that was just completely blew our minds. And I think that that's a great answer to the question that Lainey posed. You know, someone like Charles Bernstein very much resonates. It's just his style, the irony, just throwing spaghetti against the wall linguistically. Yeah, it's all there. Great. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Okay. So, Sophia?
Oh, I thought Sarah could pick, right?
Oh, I think Sarah should pick from the mug.
Yeah.
Yes. Our guest.
Any lit.
Annie Lit. Okay. So I think we have a recording of that, so I'm going to get to it. And while I'm looking up the recording, Lainey, would you quote from some of our live stream chat friends?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's see what's happening. CJ Prince says, art, poetry, and curiosity. Have we started yet? A few computer problems here. You can see I just jumped in. And then people were answering, yes, we're in full swing. I have to go backwards. People are saying hello. People are talking about trying to do ModPo while having too much work to do, says Laura Lippman.
Well, Robin has a solution.
Oh,
Quit
just don't
your
have a
job.
Yeah. Miranda Jeb says, I want to try and read more of my Emily Dickinson this year. There's some love for May. Oh, and Aiden Hunt said that I introduced him to May, so that's exciting. Hi, Aiden.
That's really nice.
And I don't know, maybe that's good for now. We'll keep people, we'll come back to the feed again.
I'm not finding any lit in a recording. Is that possible? I don't think we have any lit in a recording. So you have it right there. How do you feel about reading it? It's a hard poem to read, Sophia. Do you want to read it?
About reading it.
Well, you could pass it off to Lainey, who's a very good reader.
Do you want to read it?
It's not easy to read, but let's do it. Let's listen to Lainey Brown
How can we not
read
have the
Harriet
recording?
Mullins. We don't have it. I don't
We
think
need
she
to
read.
ask her. Okay.
No. Here we go, and then we'll discuss it.
You are a ukulele beyond my microphone. You are a Yukon beyond my Micronesia. You are a union beyond my mimesis. You are a unicycle beyond my migration. You are a universe beyond my mitochondria. You are a Eucharist beyond my Miles Davis. You are a euphony beyond my myocardiogram. You are a unicorn beyond my minotaur. You are a eureka beyond my Mai Tai. You are a Yuletide beyond my minesweeper. You are a euphemism beyond my minibird. You are a unit beyond my mileage. You are a Yugoslavia beyond my mind's eye. You are a Yoo-hoo beyond my minor key. You are a Euripides beyond my mime troupe. You are a Utah beyond my microcosm. You are a Uranus beyond my Miami. You are a youth beyond my mylar. You are a euphoria beyond my myalgia. You are a Ukrainian beyond my Maimonides. You are a Euclid beyond my miter box. You are a Univac beyond my minus sign. You are a Eurydice beyond my maestro. You are a eugenics beyond my Mayan. You are a U-boat beyond my mind control. You are a euthanasia beyond my miasma. You are a urethra beyond my Mysore. You are a euterpe beyond my mighty sparrow. You are a ubiquity beyond my minority. You are a eunuch beyond my migraine. You are a eurodollar beyond my miserliness. You are a urinal beyond my mitral. You are a uselessness beyond my myopia.
Yay, Lane. So good. Okay, I'm really glad we put that in the record. Okay, so responding to that in order will be Erica, Dave, Sarah, and Chris. If you should like to do it, Chris. Okay. All right. Dave, I don't know who was first, but Dave, would you go first?
Sure. I like this, and Al, you refer to this as an abecedarian poem. I think in one of the videos, a poem involving the alphabet. And first off, it reminds me of a song that Big Bird used to sing when he first saw the alphabet and thought it was a single word, and he sung Apkerdeki Jekabigdolfwich, which I
Wait,
thought
can
was.
you do the Big Bird sound? You can sing that, can't you?
I can't do the Big Bird voice, but the song, so I remember it was Apkerdeki Jekabigdolfwich. It's the most remarkable word I've ever seen.
It's the most remarkable word I've ever seen.
Right. I wish I could find out exactly what it means, but it turns out it was the alphabet. But what I love about this, and similarly with Sleeping with the Dictionary, is the way it really transforms language from being instrumental to being intrinsically valuable. It's not just a tool to do something else. It's the building blocks and it's the end result. It's the product. It's the thing that we find value in and of itself, not just in the way it does something for us.
And that actually suggests what the title might mean. I love that. Okay, Erica, followed by Sarah.
I love this poem and I love this book because of how Mullen is employing all of these different forms and procedures. And I actually wonder if it's okay for me to read what Mullen says about this poem from this wonderful book called Looking Up Harriet Mullen with Barbara Heck.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Erica, please.
Okay, so about this poem, Mullen says, this was based on a bit of folklore from the 19th century that I found in a cookbook by Vertime Grosvenor. The original line was, "You are a huckleberry beyond my persimmon." I've also seen it in folklore collections where it was associated with the courtship conversations of African American couples. I use the same basic structure with a series of words that phonetically echo the formula, "You are a you beyond my." So I find that I love this book because it gives some insight into some of the compositional processes that Mullen is employing And what I think is particularly striking about this poem is how much phonetics and sound, not only transforms language, but transforms literal relationships. Like you see it in the way the sentences are transforming.
That's great. I love that context too. I mean, it really has the way the pronouns work. You, my, it has a courtship ritual that gets alphabetized just in a kind of random way, as if to say, sorry for what's about to come out of my mouth, but as if to say, I just love you so. I can't even say the word. It's beyond. And I might as well just say stuff. I might as well just say words. I might as well randomize content because love defies that mere content. It's just so playful and so lovely. Sarah, followed by Chris. Chris, do you dare? Yo, that was an expression. Okay. Thank you in advance. We're going to need to get... Do we have a second portable mic? No, that's all right. Robin will get you the portable mic.
It's over there.
They have one. How'd they get that? It's Robin's. Okay, good. All right.
This Sleeping with the Dictionary was one of the first books that got me writing. She is a lover of constraints, like the French Oulipo movement, and her new book, Regaining Unconsciousness, I think it's called, is she's still at it, and she's, the phrase "pure products of America go crazy." She does it with words and jumbling them, and it become almost like puzzle fashion. And here the use of the "you are" puts on a parallel all these things which are completely different from each other. So that absurdity, that playfulness, is a joy to read, and I think it's really liberating for people wanting to write. She's like, you never run out of constraints. You can always come up with something.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sarah. Before I turn to Chris, Erica Kay, this is the kind of poem I imagine that you can teach teachers how to teach, right? Because of its because of the procedure. Am I correct?
Absolutely, and it's the kind of, I just finished working with my students on Mullen's Trimmings and Supermarket, which are also, very different kinds of works that spin off of Stein, but, the whole practice of procedure and constraint, I think, is incredibly useful to really dig into thinking about how poems are working. And for teachers who might feel intimidated by poetry, zeroing in on the prompt or the procedure is a way into thinking about understanding.
Thank you so much, Erica. Exactly. Okay, Chris, what do you think? You probably don't have even the text in front of you. You just arrived. You're jet lagged. You don't know what's going on.
That's about right. Yeah, I've never heard that before, and I'm not a professor of poetry as I'm sitting next to, so this is all kind of new to me. But I'm a sociologist, and I found the way that the language sounded random, but then I heard patterns in it, and I found the patterns that emerged as it progressed really interesting. The kind of way it seemed to sort of dip into different histories, different cultures. I found that fascinating. I'm a sociologist. I'm very interested in how behaviour manifests and how underlying ideas manifest, and I sort of heard lots of that within this poem and found that really, really fascinating.
Thank you, Chris. Hey, snaps and 3 cheers for academics who want to be out of their silo. Yay. But you actually didn't get out of your silo, because what we do in ModPo, Chris, may I? What we do in ModPo is we imagine cultures of pattern recognition. And I think this poet is like top of anyone's list at what? Help me, Sarah. Conveying a cultural idea through challenging us to recognize patterns of the sort we're not usually looking for. How did I do?
It's good, yeah. I mean, you kind of liberate the referent when you go through the supermarket and you pull out the Bonne Maman and the Chardonnay and you kind of riff, on Americana, and it just like gives you a new, deeper kind of comic energy.
Yes, comic energy. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, George Oppen once said, things sing themselves. I think that's what's going on here. Okay, we did a great job on that. That was really good. All right, let's get, before we go to the cup, let us find out what our stream folks are doing. And Dave, can you pull up a question from the thread too? And I'll just remind everybody that you should call us and get Sarah's book, 267-838-9492. And you have a code you have to enter. Please call.
All right, I'm reading backwards through the chat because people are talking to each other simultaneously.
Always good.
Yeah.
And I bet Robin misses being there. Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost more fun to be in the chat than here at the table, right?
There's a lot of love for any lit. So Laura Littman, Urinal Beyond My Midol, forever my favorite. Seriously, it's one you can really dig into. Everybody's, snapping and echoing love for any lit. And Miranda Jebb says, this poem does always make me want to decode it, and I'm not sure if that's the best approach. Hillary says, hey, Big Bird, Dave is a genius.
Well, Hillary, this is Hillary who's in Argentina, I believe. I think, or Brazil. I'm not sure where Hillary is, but you're right, Hillary, about Dave. He's a genius. But I think he failed in producing the Big Bird voice.
I thought they were talking about Big Bird being the genius.
Hillary? I don't think Hillary. I think Hillary was paying you that compliment, Dave. Take it. Okay. Shall we get another poem from the cup? Oh, wait. Dave was going to tell us about a question in the thread.
Sure. There's a couple cool comments about the nature of language being political. Nadia Khan says that in Sophia's office hours back in week 4, we were discussing A Long Dress by Stein. And towards the end of the discussion, I asked that Stein is hinting that language is manufactured, to which someone else said, language is also political. I love how the ModPo syllabus builds layer by layer, and so many connections can be drawn between different weeks. I thought that was a cool comment.
It really is, and I think that if you want to find the political emerging through the experimental writing that we celebrate from Dickinson and Whitman on, you will find it obviously emerging in the Beat Week, but then really starts to get going in week 8 and 9 and 10. I think it's worth, Lainey, we should come up with a new category in the modpod.org search that kind of creates a syllabus out of that emergence. We may have already done that. I'm not really sure.
I don't remember. Well, look.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thank you. And now, Sarah, pick from the mug for another.
I do the second one too.
Nikolai, I just have to point out that we gamify everything so that nobody says, "Oh, that's his favorite poem," and he made us talk about it. No,
I picked my poem.
The cup does that.
Al, I picked my poem.
You picked a poem from Lines?
No, The Overhearing by Ray Armantrout. That was the
I
poem
love that poem so much. Oh,
Great.
she read it here, so I'm going to find it. It's in ModPo Plus, am I right?
Yes.
It is. Here is Ray Armantrout in this room performing Overhearing, and then we're going to hear a little bit of the Tennessee Waltz itself.
Overhearing. The way the Tennessee Waltz is about having heard the Tennessee Waltz before. An almost floral nostalgia, totally self-contained, is what we call beautiful. You're in the rocker, I'm on the couch, long since hauled off but stationed like organs in this dream. You're saying a bit too loudly, so that I'm afraid the one doing dishes, now dead, and the one in the bathroom, now gone, will overhear why you first wanted me, when I wake up to hear you thrashing, yelling out in a dream.
Oh, gosh. Okay. And here is a little bit of the Tennessee Waltz. Oh, it's Nora Jones and and Bonnie Raitt singing the Tennessee Waltz.
You are something else. Miss Bonnie. Come on now. And then I may get some of these guests out.
I love this version of this one. Play it, Nora.
I was dancing with my baby to the Tennessee waltz when an old friend I just happened to see I introduced her to my loved one. And why?
So Sarah brought it up, and I think Sarah should be on the list. Sarah, Lainey, Sophia, and Kate, and Robin. That's a lot of people. But I'll just start by saying that Ray is right, that the Tennessee Waltz is about a song, the Tennessee Waltz, but it itself is not the Tennessee Waltz, which is great meta. And according to Ray, the rest of the poem is about how she and her longtime partner husband met in a kind of weird family situation. So it's just a classic Ray thing. Anyway, Sarah first, followed by Lainey.
Yeah, I love these lines. You're in the rocker, I'm on the couch. You know, just like in terms of like the experience of hearing a song, like where you are, this very like American way of saying the rocker or the couch, you know, these really casual, colloquial experiences. And just like, you know, when you hear something, you sometimes remember where you are when you hear it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that's gorgeous. That's great. That's amazing. I mean, so you have these people in a room, and Chuck is saying something loudly enough so that the people, her parents, overhear them, even though they're doing dishes in the other room. So it's like a stage whisper. We'll overhear why you first wanted me. So his courting of her gets overheard by the parents. Overhearing. Oh gosh, Lainey.
I just love how in Ray's work it's so tight and precise and concise, yet voluminous at the same time, because this, I feel like there's so many ways to read many things in this poem. It's so very meta. Like, for instance, the rocker, the couch, long since hauled off, stationed like organs in the stream. Like, organs, is that internal organs in the body, or the musical organs? And so the speakers are both here and gone. There's the living and the dead. There's dreaming and waking. And there's echoes of music and also dance, but also the situation in the living room. So it's like the poem happens over and over in different ways depending on how you're reading it. I'm curious, I know what a waltz is, but how is a Tennessee waltz different from a waltz? Like in terms of the choreography, does anybody know?
Like specifically, no.
Okay.
But the way around that problem,
Not just me.
but the way around that problem is that this is
Tennessee.
not. This is a poem that's not about the Tennessee Waltz, but
Right.
about how in the Tennessee Waltz I overheard something. Some other that
Right.
song that we listened to is not a waltz. It's a
No.
waltz that refers to the Tennessee
A
waltz,
waltz that refers
which, by
to
the
a
way,
waltz.
yeah, doesn't really exist.
meta.
This song exists. I can't remember who first recorded it, but in the 50s. But there is no Tennessee waltz.
There's no such thing as a Tennessee waltz.
The Tennessee waltz doesn't exist. It was made up by the person who wrote the song about the Tennessee
Oh,
waltz.
maybe that's why I've never danced.
Yeah, so this is so it's so brilliant that she's
I
got
love
this.
it.
So nothing about the conversation that she and Chuck had exists anymore. The both parents are dead. The furniture, just like the
furniture.
Tennessee waltz.
Uh-huh. I love that. I want to connect it to John Cage's version of a waltz in the future week when we get to John Cage,
Okay.
which is like 3 different locations.
Yeah.
Like the steps you would
Sure.
take that he's recording on
Sure.
city streets and
Yeah.
put it together, and that's a waltz.
Okay, you really got it. That's really great. Because isn't John Cage's music about one thing heard over another? That kind of
Exactly.
overhearing,
Yeah.
like layers. We are doing some good work here, Sophia. Top that.
That's crazy demand. I'm thinking about there's so much in this poem, like there's so much in the poem, the relationships, the duality of the dreams of what organs could mean, but it is like quite sparse, and I really appreciate this. We're given these parentheses. It says now dead and now gone. So those are like different conditions, but they're both somewhere else. And I feel like I'm thinking of overhearing both as like someone is listening in on a conversation, but when you get to a point of knowing someone so well that you're overhearing, you don't have to actually have inflection or a conversation. You're just like to the point of knowing someone so well that you're connected in this way, and you don't have to do much to understand one another. And I feel like that's kind of replicated in how this poem is laid out, because it is slight. It's pretty small, and it's short, but there's so much in it, and there's so much going on, kind of like a relationship or a coming together in the beginning.
Thank you. You did top that. That's amazing. Before we turn to Kate on this topic as well, followed by Robin, what are the people saying? What are they saying about this?
What are they saying?
Somebody probably found the Tennessee waltz to prove me wrong.
Let's see. Waltz.
Maybe they're not talking.
Miranda Jubb. Let's see. I'm getting in the middle of the conversation. People are a lot of love for John Cage. Matthew Coben says, I miss the 23rd century waltzes. Okay, I don't know what that is. I love it. Emma Goldman Sherman says, waltz is 3/4 times, so it's all 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So 3 locations is waltz.
Hi, Emma.
Kathy Garja says, American waltz is slower than Viennese waltz. In American, feet step wider, and Viennese feet come close together. Miranda Jubb, apparently the Tennessee waltz was inspired by hearing the Kentucky waltz.
Okay. It's Patty Page who did it first. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Kate, overhearing. We haven't talked about that final scene where Chuck is having a nightmare.
This poem is so complicated. To me, it's about tautology, and it is a tautology, and about how patterns of language and mind and memory and human relationships all recapitulate one another. And it kind of is self-contained in the way that it begins by explaining And in the end, I have this sense that someone's going to wake up from the dream and then it's all going to start over again. It almost has this suggestion of the loop that's put forth in the beginning built into it.
That is
But in the
great.
end, I guess beauty is familiar. Saying beauty is familiarity. It's pattern recognition, and that love might be the same.
Oh, I really like that. I'm much moved by the ending, where you once told me how much you like me. It's loud enough for my parents to hear you. That's a gesture. That was courtship. And now we're just a couple that's in bed and you're having a nightmare and I wake you up and that's what life is like. I remember the night and the Tennessee Waltz. Now I know just how much I have lost. Okay, Robin, what's left to say? This is great. How are you feeling?
Is that on?
It can be on.
Hello?
Chris?
Hello?
There you are.
I have to say, first of all, that I used to do a live podcast, and I'm having like residual anxiety about all of the components that are required for something like this. So this is amazing, and thank you to everybody.
What was the podcast?
It was called Kunstcapades. It was a art and humor podcast. Yeah.
So you're kind of an avant-gardist.
Sure.
And then you went into a field that bored you, and now you're out.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm looking at, I love the call-outs of things that are falsely classified as contained or fixed here. And almost floral nostalgia, totally self-contained, when nostalgia is mutable, of course, and then you think about the bud that will blossom. Organs in this dream, stationed like organs in this dream, even the organs in the body are not necessarily fixed or not entirely reliable. And then those things up against this implied request for modulation or anticipating hushing someone. I don't know how that all comes together, but that's what I'm looking at, sort of cold on this poem.
That was great. Thank you so much. Okay, Sarah, do you want to pick another one from the mug?
Yeah. We have Eigner Corner Stop Sign.
Oh,
yeah, I
wow.
didn't read the title, so
Okay, that's in ModPo Plus, everybody. Okay, let's see. Week 8. Okay, everybody get to it. I'm going to get to it. Eigner. All right. Corner stop sign. I am going to read it. And then I'd like Erica, Dave, Andrew, and Nikolai to respond. You don't have the text in front of you. Oops. But it's a short poem. It was written in May of 1986. I'll read it twice. Corner stop sign. Stop war, or stop war. Organization of the cars, arrowy traffic on the bigger road. No clouds cross the sky. Space, buildings, windows. I'm going to do it again and respect the line breaks, which was Eigner could use tabs, return and tab. So there's a lot of tab. He's like the late Williams after Williams had 2 strokes. Eigner discovered that tabs are better for the way he writes, composes. Corner, stop sign, stop, war, organization of the cars, arrowy traffic on the bigger road. No clouds cross the sky. Space, buildings, windows. Erica, what are you going to do? Get us started on this remarkable poet and this remarkable poem.
I mean, I just love this poem so much. And, it's a poem that feels, at least to me, really speaking to this particular moment, even though it was written in 86. I appreciate one thing I love about Aigner generally is the laser focus on the tiniest details and the way that he's able to depict scenes newly. So what I mean by that is like arrowy traffic. It's just kind of an incredible line. And the shape of the poem is also interesting, which I know is partially governed by his compositional practice, but where he breaks lines, I think we heard in the two readings that you did, creates so much emotion.
Thank you, Erica. Appreciate that. Dave Poplar.
Seems like a great poem to read for Modpo based in Philly, since Philly seems to have a unique relationship with stop signs as being, sort of suggestions, not really directions. I mean, there's something we call the South Philly slide. When you approach a stop sign, you just sort of slow down a little bit and slide right through it.
In West Philly, we call it a rolling stop.
In California, we call it a rolling stop, too.
Yeah, in California, they roll stop into the freeway, which they should not be doing. But anyway.
And it also makes me think about South Philly and the aggression that traffic and the claustrophobia from being on top of each other causes. Just the first word of this poem, corner, is pretty impactful to me. It just makes me feel about how society, being around people, makes us feel cornered. It helps us expand, but it helps us feel, it forces us to feel cornered, which forces us to internalize this aggression. So it's got a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Okay, Andrew, do you want to go next? What do you think? Do you hear? Can you see the poem, or you only heard it?
I can't see it, but I could hear it. You read the line breaks beautifully, so I can visualize it. But I guess both what was just said about there's something interesting about a word like arrowy that should be in some way quite playful, but because of the language that precedes it, becomes this kind of violent thing. And I was thinking a lot about the ending of it, this buildings, space, buildings, window. And there's this great Kay Ryan poem that I've always loved that just has this phrase, nor is there an endless west. And then at the end she says, the same is true also of the mind, it can get used. And this sense of something empty, so the space that gets built on, that gets full up of something, and that you can then only look through the window at. And so this sense of space being encroached upon, this sense of something lost, and this sense of something built on that therefore is no longer accessible, you can only look at it at the end of that poem as well. Maybe.
That is super perceptive about Aigner, and I'm guessing that Aigner is relatively new to you. Aigner was a window poet, partly because he had a porch set up where he could sit sometimes in his wheelchair and compose, but he had a view. He was pretty close to the ocean. Or was it Cape Cod Bay? Anyway, water. And he had a view of an intersection, a road, a field, some sand, and sometimes the water, some trees. And a lot of the poems are what he can see. In this case, Nikolai, the stop sign is something he saw, and he must have seen for hours upon hours as cars either did, suggested by Dave here, did or didn't stop. But he goes right from stop sign. You want stop sign? Stop, all caps, war, all caps. It's like he's ready to see something different out his window. Nikolai.
Well, it's really interesting that you've just told me that he could see that sign, because I felt in very, very few words I was taken from sitting in a traffic jam. So I'm projecting clearly when I heard this poem, because I spent a lot of my life sitting in a traffic jam, but to those moments where I went from being stuck on a corner all the way up into space, back again, back into the car, to the building, the glass, and then the correspondence of words and how the association went from stop to war. But it's really interesting that if he is sitting there looking at that sign, that there is that staticness that I felt in the poem. So arrowy, I'm very literal. I was thinking of a traffic jam and cones funneling cars into one lane until they're sort of pointing to the freedom. But that sense of being stuck while actually everything is moving as well. And, and that point of association and where you get to and come back to.
So well observed, particularly with respect to the phrase organization of the cars. That's great. Sarah Riggs, would you pick a poem from your book, Lines, and read it? And I'm going to ask, we're all going to be hearing a poem and not seeing it, although I have a copy over here. So Sophia and I will see it. And I would like then for Sophia, Kate, and Robin to respond to whatever is read. So
Yeah.
Sarah?
Well, I actually wanted to ask somebody to pick a number from 11 to 101.
Oh, I love this. Randomization, gamification. Okay. Dave, pick a number between 11 and 101.
51.
51. I assume you're thinking of pages.
Yeah. Okay. November 15th. The assured rise in expectations, flurry of the soul to fault, more candid in the aftermath, telling repercussions lest we be, a haunted sort of twangling, zero carve under, a minus zone, where to the time of splinter, agree in space sleet of thought, thicket of removal, whether used tickets, sure padding along containment, sixth trajectory at finger wave, a scuttle of myriad individual feelers, carry the weight of know-how, frankly a budding loss of minute gestures, so to the wind or trolley, jump on.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay. So, Sophia, you have the text in front of you, followed by Kate, who does not have the text in front of her.
Obviously, I just heard this for the first time. I thank you for reading. This is great. I guess my initial reaction is I feel like the initial line, the assured rise in expectations, kind of primes me in a way as I go through the poem. I feel like there's a lot of language in these lines where it's a word that I'm not expecting, and it's making me consider why I have an expectation of language in that way. Like a haunted sort of, there are many words I would pick immediately before twangling. And I like that it's calling attention to the way I have expectations to finish a line or finish a sentence. And the poem kind of like already told me I was going to do that. And I'm still being tricked by myself, even though I was warned at the beginning of the page that this was going to happen. Yeah, that's my initial thought.
Thank you, Sophia. Robin, you have the text in front of you. So do you want to go next? And then, dear Kate, I don't know if you've heard enough to be able to respond, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
It's hard to do this.
And fun.
It's very fun. Also very fun. One thing I could offer is the weather of the poem and how the actual weather terms make you consider some of the other language as weather terms that aren't weather terms, but because they're in the same valence become weather terms.
Wonderful. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. The minus zone. Kate, any thoughts on this? You haven't seen the poem in writing.
Yeah, well, I quickly recognized the poem as a description of itself that constitutes itself. So I started jotting down phrases that describe the poem. Haunted twangling, minus zone, sleet of thought, thicket of removal, scuttle of feelers, minute gestures, and then it ends with this, what I read as an instruction to the reader to jump on.
Jump on, yeah. That's great. Sarah, how do you feel about that reading?
Yeah. I mean, I was just like trying to follow my mind as fast as I could go, just try to, your mind moves faster than language, right? So like, just try and catch it like music, And so for me, the definition of what's happening is all the associatives and the metas.
I love that. So that even from the first line, if it refers to the composition or the thing that's happening right here, it becomes less about what we expect as about what you're trying to do in the line itself, the assured rise in expectations. There's a lot going on when you're just writing lines. Lainey, I think you want to say something.
I have some thoughts.
Please.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about how this is great to talk about during week 8 and language poetry, because I'm thinking about the title of the book, Lines, and how we have this parataxis, we have this, each line can kind of stand on its own, and then we make these associative leaps between the lines in a similar way that, for instance, in Lynn Hygienian's My Life, we have these juxtapositions between sentences, and the mind does something different every time for every reader.
Yes. And of course, in the Perlman's pre-elegy for Lee Hickman, we get that in a dramatic way because the composition was about sort of random sentences. And in Silliman.
And there's something about where to the time of splinter that is so Dickinsonian to my ear.
It's a very Dickinsonian poem. Sarah, thank you. By the way, everybody, the book is Lines. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pick another poem from the cup, but we're going to have brief responses from Dave, Erica, and Lainey. Then we're going to have extended final words as we wrap up. So let's see what poem comes out.
We got some sticky poems here.
Sticky poems, yes.
Is this okay?
Yeah.
Concordance by May May.
What is it?
Concordance.
Concordance. Oh, wow. Love that. All right, let's go to it. Let's hear a little more of May May reading that. And we're going to hear from Lainey, Erica, and Dave on Concordance, which, by the way, is in ModPo Plus, everybody. Okay. When May May was a Writers House Fellow, the class made a big deal out of Concordance, and she was very happy that we focused on it.
Called Concordance, that is in 3 parts. Writing encounters one who does not write, and I don't try for him, but face to face draw you onto a line or flight like a break that may be extended, the way milkweed filling space above the field is like reading. Then it's possible to undo misunderstanding from inside by tracing the flight or thread of empty space running through things, even a relation that's concordant. Seeds disperse in summer air. Sun rays cease to represent parallel passages in a book that is not coming from what I see and feel. Relation is in the middle, relay, flower description to flower becoming of my eye between light and heart. Now information has released imaginative function from authors. I send an interrupted line over the top of space, past the middle cinematically, when you can no longer stand what you put up with before. At night part of her numbed to pain, and part woke to what occurred. Working backward in sleep, the last thing you numbed to is what wakes you. What if that image were eros as words? I write to you and you feel me. What would it be like if you contemplated my words and I felt you? Animals, an owl, frog, open their eyes, and a mirror forms on the ground. When insight comes in a dream and events the next day illuminate it, this begins your streaming consciousness, synchronicity, asymptotic lines of the flights of concordances. An owl opens its eyes in deep woods. For the first time I write, and you don't know me. Milkweed I touch floats.
I'm going to try. There it is. Okay, that was part one. I think I'm going to take a first turn, and then we're going to turn to Dave, Erica, and Lainey. I remember having a conversation with Mamie about what concordance meant, and I think she was able to focus on this concept that a writer writes, and what the writer writes is felt by the reader in a way that's a lot like how a human being interacts with a plant. And then the other way around, she asks the recipient, the reader, us, what it would be like if you contemplated my words and I felt you contemplating my words. So that the reader responds and she can feel the reader's response, which is not simply metaphysical, which she would readily admit, but actually some kind of special concordance that a writer should be able to achieve in the best circumstance. So concordance is actually writing and being felt and having the feeling be part of the writing back. It's really amazing. Dave, Erica, and Lainey.
First off, it reminds me of my favorite quote about writers, which is, a writer is someone for whom writing is especially difficult. And this seems to me, or at least the impressions I get from this are a lot about othering, about how there's relationships that can be distant between a writer or an artist and their writing or their art, and how there's a struggle to bridge that distance to really embody that creativity, to get that inspiration. And then there's also the relationship between the writer or the artist and the reader, and how that is almost always going to be a little bit othered. And there's always a more difficult effort to bridge that gap between conveying and between them understanding. So there's a lot of to me about that othering and that relationship and that difficulty of art in the world. That makes sense.
That's great, Dave. Thank you. Erica, your thoughts?
I'm having like a funny reaction to this poem, which is that it's making me think about Barbara Guest, which I know is last week, but there's a way in which Bersenbrugge uses images to evoke feeling. And, the kinds of images that Furstenberg is drawing on are very different from Guess, but there's just something in the voice or the kind of tenor of the poem that's making me think about Barbara Guest. And part of that is also the way the poem feels like this expanse that you're kind of enveloped in. I feel like all of these things are really abstract. I hope I'm making some kind of sense, but the line that I'm really kind of focusing on is I write to you and you feel me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah. Barbara Guest was very interested, of course, in visual art. I think there's something in here. I think Lainey.
Well, I know that Barbara Guest's work is very important to May May.
Yeah.
So I think that's absolutely right. And you can't see it on how it looks in the page, but the influence and the friendship and the presence in May May's life of Barbara Guest was definitely
the poem talk we
real.
did with May May when she was a fellow after we went into the studio and we did a poem talk about a Barbara Guest poem, which was about an art museum. So this is so your instinct, Erica, is perfect. Lainey Brown.
Okay. There's so much I want to say. Let's see if I can read the notes that I wrote down. Okay, this poem teaches us what it is to remember and become attuned to the myriad ways in which everything is in relation, waking and sleeping, interspecies communication, communication with the more than human world, and communication between humans, including telepathic or beyond language communication.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what May May would say. You're exactly right. Yeah, I mean, the first line could be a suggestion that the person receiving this concordance, kind of like overhearing, is a specific partner, Richard Tuttle, the painter, her longtime partner. Writing encounters one who does not write, and I don't try for him. I mean, this could be kind of a love poem, concordance, the way that Ray Armantrout and Chuck are interacting in that other poem.
Yeah, and also it recalls Erica Hunt's, reader, we were meant
to meet. Yeah, totally. No, I think that's great. Okay, we have time for final words from everyone. So what are your final thoughts? Our visitors can offer final thoughts on the crazy webcast and how you reacted to the way we talk about poems. Robin, Rookie of the Year, you get total license to say what are you feeling about your first encounter with us and ModPo. Okay, so let us, and Sarah Riggs, our special guest today, you get to say whatever you want. So let's start with Dave, and Erica will be on deck. Final thoughts.
It was great to see everybody. It's cool to see Robin in the Writer's House. I wanted to give a special shout out to CJ Prince, who, after my office hours last night, wrote a poem sort of about the office hour, and she emailed it to us because she said she couldn't post it online the way she wanted to. So I really appreciated that. Do
you have that poem in front of you by any chance? Because
Yeah,
I got a copy of it. It's pretty great. You want to read read a couple of stanzas?
Yeah, I'd love to. And she said she was going to post it online, so I hope I'm not talking out of turn. But it begins after Dave's office hour, window of tolerance. No one mentions a restless new moon or three. Atlas, only the more philosophical, and the newcomers brilliant, and the old comers not old, only declarations. Laura, emphatic. I am not a poet, as stairs rise crisscross from no upward. Terry, folding laundry, seeing beyond the desert as words interweave, and it goes on from there.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, the poem
really cool.
refers to almost everybody in the gathering, and I can easily imagine Terry Talty folding the laundry while watching. I think love is an overused word in Modpo, but I think there's a lot of love for a group like that, for each other. And it's great. It's a really good thing to have in a community that is trying to make intellectual life something more than just intellectuality. And I think that Overhearing and Concordance set us up for that beautifully. So thank you, Dave. Erica's up and Kate is on deck.
Thanks. I wanted to use my final words to say hi to Sarah Riggs, whose work I adore, and also to mention that my office hours are an hour later this week, so we'll be starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll be
on Friday.
We'll be talking about Lynn Heginian, and also in the thread for that office hour, I shared Heginian's writing about Gertrude Stein. We've been on this Stein voyage in my office hours, and shout out to the wonderful community of people who keep showing up wanting to connect Stein everywhere. So
Yay, the difference is spreading.
Very appreciative.
Thank you, Erica. Kate, and followed by Andrew.
I want to say hi to Sarah, and I also want to say hi to Robin, who joined my office hour yesterday along with Vero and Terry and Appy, and we had one of the best conversations I've had in my office hour about dementia and about babies and about language and our changing relationships to it through life and the changes in the human mind. It was incredible. And next week, my office hour is on Tuesday at 2 again, instead of the usual Thursday at 2.
Thank you, Kate, and thank you for hosting those wide open discussions. Andrew is up and Sophia is on deck.
I'll just say on behalf of all of us, thank you for letting us intrude today. So we've sat in on the poem talk, we've sat in on this, and it's just been a real privilege and just such a wonderful experience. And I was thinking about, sometimes we talk about this idea of poetry in a community of readers have kind of been a shared language. But what I found really special today was hearing everyone's individual responses to poems. And even though it's the first time meeting you all, you feel that through a response to a poem, you come to know a person slightly better or kind of something about them. And so that's been a real privilege. So yeah, just on behalf of us all from Manchester, England, thank you. And I wish I had an office hour because this would be an amazing thing to do. But
you can do that. We can set that up. Thank you, Andrew. And before we turn to Sophia, can we, Lainey, see what folks are saying? Are there any finalish words there?
Okay, so Vijaya had a beautiful comment about the Maymay poem. There's a couple I wanted to read. It is always difficult to describe the space between two people. An owl opens its eyes in deep woods. It is trying to capture that flow. And Carlos Ibanez says, this poem makes me think that a poem transcends its writer by living in the reader's mind.
Could you say that again?
This poem makes me think that a poem transcends its writer by living in the reader's mind.
That is great. Carlos, I don't recognize you from the forums. Please contact us. We'd love to be in touch with you. You can write us at modpo@writing.upenn.edu. We'd love to hear from you. Is there another one? It just scrolls on.
Let's see. People are talking about office hours. CJ is responding.
I hope CJ enjoyed the, reading of her poem.
Yeah. Miranda Jubb, I love that you have a concordance with a mod poer through their mod poem thoughts.
Great. Thank you. Sophia, followed by Chris.
Well, first, Andrew, I'd like to say it's not an intrusion. We love to have guests, so we're happy to have you here.
He said intrusion?
Yeah.
He was just being polite. Oh, those Manchesterites. They're polite. Actually, they're
I'm
not.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Not by reputation, anyway.
Anywho, I would like to say that continuously people come to my office hours in the morning and rave about Dave's office hours. So I just wanted to say that I think that's awesome that like sometimes I start conversations because they feel like they want to keep talking about thoughts they had from your office hours, Dave. And I think that's really cool. So I just wanted to put that out there. And yeah, my office hours, I love my office hours. I hope people keep showing up. And they're, I know, early at 8 a.m. on Wednesdays.
But really good for the people in Europe. So
yeah, and we've had some new folks over the past few weeks, so I hope everyone keeps showing up. I have a great time doing them.
I
so.
think you have the best. It's 8 a.m., isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the best time in terms of time zones. It's only bad for Arizona and California.
Yeah, but Stanley keeps showing up, so he doesn't
Stanley
seem
in
to
New
mind.
Mexico. But, it's perfect for Europe, and it's kind of getting late in Australia and Japan. But
Yeah, I mean, it's like 10 p.m. in Australia, but Kat shows up too.
Kat shows up too. And Kat's way on the other side of that island. So it's good. 8 a.m. We should all be doing 8 a.m. Okay, cool. Wow. This is fun. Chris, followed by Sarah.
Thank you very much for being able to be part of this and listen and make a very small contribution. It's been really fascinating. I probably don't spend as much time reading and listening to poetry as I should, but I've really found all of the poems I've just heard in the last hour fascinating. I think very visually, and so I've sort of felt I've been walking through a gallery of sort of modern art, looking at Jackson Pollocks and Kandinskys and sort of seeing things that initially I don't necessarily fully understand, but I see things emerging and I see connections, and I've just found it fascinating.
Thank you so much, Chris. You should be reading more poetry. Should we be reading more sociology? Thumbs up. He's passing the mic. Okay. Sarah is up, and Nikolai will be on deck.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Al. This is about as much fun as I've ever had with poetry this day.
Sarah,
I think this is an ultimate experience, and I definitely like Dave's quote. A writer is someone for whom writing is especially difficult. I think it also resonates. You could substitute writer. A reader is someone for whom reading is especially difficult. Yeah, I struggled with Lynn Haginian's My Life and Bernadette Mayer's Memory, but the two of them, those two works, got me to write lines, which I know is difficult, but hopefully fun too.
Yeah.
I think on the train back to New York tonight, I'm going to be writing, thinking of you all.
Oh God, that's great. That is great, Sarah. I mean, I hope and wish you can join us pretty much anytime you want to get on the train. We would just totally like it. And
Thank you.
Conversation we had about Etel Adnan this afternoon in Poem Talk. Well, you guys got to witness it. It was really one of the best poem talks ever. And just, I don't know. I could do this all day, every day, right? If there was nothing else to do. Don't I? Yes. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for being our special guest here at week 8. We're going to turn to Nikolai with Robin on deck.
I just want to echo the thanks. It's been a real treat to sit in on all of these events today. It's really nice for me to hear the work of poets whose work I love being spoken about with such joy and thoughtfulness. So that's been a real privilege. But also I just think you have something beautifully special here. There's a wonderful community, wonderful sense of what you're doing, and yeah, it's been wonderful to see.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you guys are visiting for a few days. Well, Robin, Rookie of the Year, we would like to give you the gift of Sarah's poem, Book of Poems lines, and maybe she will inscribe it for you. Thank you. Congratulations on being so fabulous. How do you feel?
I feel Okay. Um, I feel really good about finding ModPo. I somehow in my life ended up mostly in a community of visual artists, which is fantastic. But during this, I'm in a career pause right now and trying to dig back into poetry, which is something I care deeply about and studied when I was younger. So it's been incredible. The brilliance and the kindness of the ModPo people, you folks, the students, the guests. It's just outrageous and amazing. And then also wanted to reference the quote Dave gave, a writer is someone for whom writing is especially difficult. I have a joke with my dad, who's a musician, and we talk about just the compulsion, how you don't get to pick your art, and it's irritating, but you have to practice it and you don't have a choice. And so he talks about wanting to take his trumpet and like back it over with his car. And we always riff about what the options would be for a writer, you know, like chucking your laptop off a balcony or cracking your pen in half. But you got to keep doing it. That's it.
And is that your plan?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much. And Nikolai's on deck, and then Lainey Brown. You already spoke, so Lainey Brown is next.
Okay.
Yes. My goodness.
I have two things to say. I want to ballyhoo my office hours. We're having a fantastic time Mondays at 5 p.m. So thank you to everybody who's coming, and please join. And then I just want to do a little cheerleading for next week by reading a line from Jackson McGlow's from Stein 100, A Feather Likeness of the Justice Chair.
Yes.
A feather table, reckless gratitude. It is that there that means best.
Jackson. Lainey, do you want to say just anything about week 9? Because this is people like week 9 because it's so playful, but some people are turned off by it a little bit.
Well, I was going to say that word playful. If you like to play, if you like games, if you want some new ideas for how to generate work or to think about process in new ways, it's a great week for that.
Jackson McClough he was partly kidding when he said this, but he would always, whenever somebody earnestly asked him, "Oh, it's really hard to be a writer. How do you be a poet?" And he said, "No, it's not. Just come up with a process, and you can generate hundreds and hundreds of poems in an hour."
Yeah, and he wanted everybody to make their own. Don't copy me, make your own.
Make your own.
Yeah.
And Bernadette had the same approach from a very different temperament and a very, very different. She didn't use machines, but she had the machine of her mind, so she would write every day. Two very interesting inspirations, and for you personally, because you knew both of them.
Both
so well.
Unbelievable, wonderful people.
Yeah. My final thought. I am just constantly, increasingly in love with the ModPo community. I dip into the forums quite a lot. I see you there, Robin, among others. And I think we have the best people in the forums. And that book that I recently published is all about how if you dip into the ModPo forums, you will get a glimpse at what hope means for and in a digital culture. We shouldn't be afraid of digitality because in some ways it's the only way we can get together. Because if you're in another continent or on the other side of a big country, you're not otherwise going to hang out with these people. Will we make it possible? I'm going to end with a poem. I'm going to read a poem by Larry Eigner. It's called Sorry to Turn Silent. I find it very moving because of, so disability studies, leaving Eigner aside, he would not have recognized disability studies and probably would have had some problems with the separateness that's implied sometimes. But disability studies and experimental poetics have really formed quite a partnership in a scholarly, critical sense. It's quite amazing. There's a lot going on in this area. Well, so Larry Eigner is ground zero for thinking about these things, and just pick any poem randomly, and you will love it. We're gonna conclude today right on the dot of 90 minutes. Thank you very much. With "Sorry to Turn Silent," and it ends with Larry saying, "I got more poems in me, so keep reading." And goodbye to everybody, and thank you again, Sarah, for coming. Okay. See you all in week 9. Here we go. Larry Eigner takes us out. Sorry to turn silent. Such time that does it. A river over something, grass and some stones. I want to continue. That's Larry Eigner. Sorry to turn silence in ModPo Plus. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in a week, if not sooner. Bye.